What's happening, guys? And welcome back to the channel. And George, I tell you what, we were not expecting to be discussing Lionel Messi and Barcelona no longer together today. Like Boys to Men, it is the end of the road for that partnership. The news breaking last night that basically, in a nutshell, Barcelona cannot afford to register Lionel Messi under the new La Liga rules. Just a quick recap on the story. Obviously, Messi's contract expired at the end of June 30th. He's been away on Copa America duty with Argentina. And it was widely expected that he would sign a new 5-year deal that would take him through to Barcelona to the age of 39. It was agreed on reduced terms, taking a 50% reduction in wages. It was all ready to sign. You know, he was going to go and sign it. I believe he went to sign it last night, and Barcelona can't afford to register him. So, George, what are your thoughts on this, quite frankly, mad story?
It's an absolutely mad story, and I don't think anyone, after the last year where he declared he wanted to leave and then decided to stay, I don't think anyone thought that this opportunity or this fact would come round again with Messi departing Barcelona. It still can't quite compute it. I mean, I saw it come through the news yesterday evening, and I can't picture Barcelona without Lionel Messi. But from what the developments this morning, it seems as though that it's an impossible situation for Barcelona to recover. So, shocking news, huge news when you're talking about one of the greatest footballers of all time. There's very limited options in terms of where he can go. PSG seem to be already in talks, and I think everyone knows the picture circling around social media with him with the PSG boys, the likes of Verratti, Neymar, just a couple of days ago, which I think is not just a coincidence. But yeah, mate, it's exciting because it will be so strange to see him in a new strip and playing football elsewhere. But you've got to question Barcelona and how they run as a club, because they've been since Pep Guardiola's left, really they've just gone really, really down south, haven't they? They've lost some big players in the past with Luis Suarez, Neymar, and the players that they bought in this season. It just seems like they've got to a situation where they've just bought without thinking. And when they lose Messi, mate, I think like you said, it's the end of the road and a huge transitional phase now for Barcelona.
And just before we move on to where Messi might be playing his football next season, George, just from Barcelona as a club perspective, how on earth, as a club with the history of Barcelona, the prestige, the players they've had, how from a business perspective have they allowed to be run into the ground like this, where they cannot afford, for financial reasons, to register Lionel Messi? They can't even afford to repair the new Camp Stadium. Who's giving the green light to sign, Antoine Griezmann, Ousmane Dembele, Philippe Coutinho, all for over 100 million euros on massive wages, when they're not in a position to do so? How do you think that's been allowed to happen?
Well, I think sometimes, the people who run football clubs don't really have any knowledge of how to run businesses. They have a lot of money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are good at running football clubs. I think agent power is a huge factor in this. I mean, when you go to clubs like Barcelona and those caliber of clubs, the wages are always going to be astronomical for players of that sort. I mean, you're talking, even though Lionel Messi took a 50% wage cut, he's still going to be on, a couple of £100,000 a week, and that's just his wages. That's not all the benefits and the bonuses that will be included in his contract. And we've seen it at other places. When you try and get into a new stadium or just do a refurb, that's a huge financial burden on a club. We've seen it at Tottenham Hotspur, where they can't afford players and they're now having to ship out players. We saw it with Arsenal as well. So it's a huge problem, and I think what really needs to change in football for me is there's got to be a wage cap. I really do think that the transfer fee and wage caps just keep going up and up and up. I mean, when you're talking about Jack Grealish, I know we've spoken about this before, but when you talk about Jack Grealish being the most expensive player of all time, the Premier League, of £100 million for someone who, let's face it, I mean, you're talking a decade ago would probably go for about 10 to 15 million. It's just getting silly. And I think clubs, not just the pandemic, but they're just struggling to keep with the demands of players who are coming into clubs and asking for straight off the bat 60 million and then £200,000 a week. I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. And I think the clubs need to come first. And hopefully this will indicate that there needs to be a cap. I'm not sure that it'll ever happen, but I really do think it needs to.
Yeah, I think, I do agree with you in terms of a kind of a salary cap. I think that way, that could perhaps prevent this kind of situation occurring in terms of, the wages, etc. But George, do you think, I know Joan Laporta, the Barcelona president, has done a press conference this morning saying that he doesn't want to give false hope and there's no chance of Messi re-signing for Barcelona or them being able to sort anything out. Do you still think, I mean, personally, I still feel there's part of me that thinks that in a weird way, I know this does seem like the end, but he could possibly still end up playing there next season. What do you think?
Yeah, again, like I said right at the start of the video, I can't see him in any other shirt. It would just, as soon as I think of Barcelona, I think of Lionel Messi. And maybe this is another grab out at La Liga to kind of say, look, if we let him go, we're going to lose a hell of a lot of TV money, a hell of a lot of publicity, because a league without Messi and obviously Ronaldo, who left for Juventus. I mean, it just doesn't have the same pulling power as it once did. So, I mean, for me, I just think I still can't see him leaving. I just think Lionel Messi will still be playing football at Barcelona. But again, like it was a year ago or so, when he said he declared he wanted to leave, at the moment it looks quite alarming, but we can only wait and hope that, I hope he stays at Barcelona, but we'll have to wait and see.
And in terms of obviously his future, George, we just discussed the possibility of him maybe staying at Barcelona seems very slim. Is it really PSG or basically going to the MLS or Argentina? I can't see any other viable options around you. You've touched on it. Manchester City have just splashed out 100 million on Jack Grealish and they're looking at getting in Harry Kane. I can't see anyone else in the Premier League affording him. Serie A is not going to happen. He's not going to go anywhere else in La Liga. He's not going to go to Bayern Munich, etc. If he wants to stay in sort of playing Champions League football, it really is PSG or nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, I really do wonder. There's a part of me that feels, has Pep Guardiola, will he be a bit annoyed at the fact that he's just splashed out on Jack Grealish and they wanted to sign Messi when he declared he wanted to leave Barcelona almost a year ago today. Just seemed a bit of a perfect fit. Finally we'd get to see him in the Premier League, reuniting with Pep Guardiola. They want a big player like that for shirt sales and to win the Champions League. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like you said, Jack Grealish is probably, in terms of an investment better. But in terms of where Lionel Messi plays football next season, yeah, I completely agree. I think it is, PSG are really the only club that can afford him and are at that level where at the age of 34, I feel Messi's still got a lot to give. I think it would be a bit of a waste him going back to Argentina or playing in the MLS. For me, I think it's just a bit too soon. So for me, it's either PSG or Barca. Yeah,
I think I'd have to agree. For me, obviously, but Argentina just won the Copa America. You've got the World Cup in Qatar in 15 months' time or so. Ideally, he wants to kind of still be playing fairly competitive football. No disrespect to the MLS or the Argentinian league, but that's probably not going to have him best prepared for a World Cup where Argentina could have a decent chance. This will be his last opportunity to try and win a World Cup. The French league, yeah, okay, it's not amazing, but it's of a quality where, he'll get tested enough and he can kind of look after himself as well a bit more. It's not as intense, not as physical. So that could sort of help him prolong his career a little bit towards the World Cup and beyond. And as you say, PSG, it really, for me in Europe, is PSG or he's not going to stay in Europe. But I mean, it'd be a frightening prospect to have Neymar, Mbappe and Messi next season. But I mean, it kind of does make a mockery of the financial fair play system. I don't know how PSG could afford to pay all those players' wages and still be complying with the rules. I think FFP is probably on the beach this year, taking a year out, but it doesn't. I mean, I just can't quite fathom that. But I mean, George, about to push you. Where's Messi going to be playing next season? Because the seasons are kicking off pretty soon, next 2 or 3 weeks. So he's going to have to sort something out pretty quickly.
Well, I was wrong when I thought he was done a year ago. So I'm going to stay with him being in a Barcelona shirt and kicking off in La Liga next season. That's my personal opinion. And I know, You know, not only did you predict a year ago that Lukaku might be in a Chelsea shirt for around the £80 million mark, but you did say Messi, PSG would be the next move. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be quite some turnaround if Messi did end up staying at Barcelona. I think they'd have to sort a lot of things out very quickly. They'd have to drastically reduce that wage bill, try and move on probably Griezmann and Coutinho minimum. And the problem they've got there is obviously those players aren't worth the money they paid for them, and no one's going to pay them the wages that they're currently on. So they're very hard to shift on. So that's going to be a big problem for them. And I think it all seems very official now. The club statement, you know, the thank you videos, the press conference with Laporta, the president. It does seem there's no coming back from this. So for me, I think he's going to be a PSG player next season, but you can't rule it out entirely that he might still put on that famous Barcelona strip. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Where will Messi be playing his football next season? And as always, smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you in the next video.